Good morning, everyone. It's Crypto Meal Analysis coming at you with an update video on Bitcoin. In your daily update video on Bitcoin. So, Bitcoin is now trading around 91,900. And today's charts gives us a clear technical story we've been looking at for weeks now. We are sitting on top of the 91.3, which is the major demand zone. This is critical and crucial, and as we've stated in every single video that we've set so far, if it does break below 91.3, then we are going to come back down and retest this bottom. But as long as we stay over 91.3, then I would say 95 is in play, which we did break out. We had a nice breakout, but then we basically sold back into this major demand zone. The momentum is resetting right now, though, even with the sell-off. And just keep in mind that multiple global events could act as catalysts, either a major bounce or a deeper correction. And we'll explain that later in the video. So Bitcoin is currently pulled back into 91.3, $95,000 zone, which has now become a major area of retesting and consolidation. This level previously acted as support and now is functioning as an important decision point for the next major move. We've been sitting in the cluster of moving averages, the 20, 50, 100. We've been sitting below, obviously, all the moving averages for a couple weeks now, all stacked above the price, which shows a temporary momentum cool down, not a macro trend reversal just yet. So keep in mind that the immediate support zone right now is 91,300. Okay. And if that breaks, then I would say that we are going to go back down to 83.6, which is a strong historical support. And if that once that area does break, and I don't know how long it's going to consolidate in this area, but if we don't get a bit breakout, then obviously we're breaking down to the downside, and we are going to be retesting this macro mid-cycle floor, which we have drawn here at 70,000. The immediate resistance right now, as long as we stay over 91.3, is 95,000. So just don't get overly excited if we come up here, because we almost came up here and got and retested this resistance before we sold off. Now the next major area of resistance after 95 is 106, and once 106 breaks, then I'd say, hey, like maybe I threw in the towel a little bit too early, and maybe it's not a bear market just yet. And that's why we have this drawn, which is the next move up at 139 to 148,000. So if we break 106, that is the major macro top zone, in my opinion. Bitcoin is currently sandwiched between a strong area of support block and below a major liquidity wall above. Okay, so strong support block below, major liquidity wall above. Now the RSI has bounced off oversold territory and is now climbing. Okay. This typically signals a short-term relief rally. However, the RSI is not yet showing full bullish reversal, so we may see more sideways action before we break out or before a major decision is made. It doesn't necessarily have to break out. It could break down. It could break back down and get sent back down to the shadow realm. So there are two scenarios in this case. Scenario one, a bullish bounce, which holds this demand zone with this box that we have drawn, pushes back over 95,000 and starts to make their way back up to 106K and reclaim this area. Okay, that's very bullish. Now, scenario B, the bearish scenario, is basically I hate saying basically, damn it. Is breaking below 91.3. You're losing 91.3 and you're basically, oh my gosh, and you're coming back down to 83.6. And if things get worse, if things worsen mid-cycle support, will sit around the 70,000 mark. So it's not necessarily just going to come straight down. Obviously, we've already came back and retested this major demand zone multiple times. So you could even get some sort of a bear flag forming before you break down. So it might suck you in and make you think that it's going to be bullish before it basically falls off the table. Oh my gosh. I got to figure that part out. Anyway, so there are 5 major global events that could affect Bitcoin today. So I did want to read the 5 major events. I'll get better with with getting more clear, getting my point across more clear. So for those people that are like, oh my god, You got to figure it out. Well, I'll figure it out. You just got to work with me on this. So the first one is obviously the upcoming U.S. Federal Reserve decision. So the market is pricing a possible rate cut before the Fed remains cautious. Uh, any surprise hawkish move could drag BTC down, but however, it is very bullish right now. Now, with the rate cuts, just keep in mind that the last couple rate cuts that we did have, we did fall off the table. So maybe we got a pre-pump in going into the rate cuts today, and once the rate cuts are announced, it's going to be bearish and basically come back down to 83.6. Okay. The second thing is the Middle East and global geopolitical tensions. So heightened geopolitical conflict drives investors into hard assets, gold, silver, which is probably why those two have rallied, and precious metals, which is probably why precious metals have rallied so much in 2025. Sometimes benefiting BTC as a non-sovereign store of value, but just keep in mind, as long as there's war, it is still bearish, and we're probably not living up to the potential that we could live up to if everything was going great geopolitical wise. The third thing is U.S. election cycle volatility. So election years bring policy uncertainty, fiscal spending changes, shifts in market risk appetite, and Bitcoin historically becomes more volatile during each election period. Now, before you're like, hey, it's not an election period. So 2026 is midterm and mid-cycle elections. So just keep in mind, it is a election year. It's not a presidential election year, but it is an election year. Moving on to Bitcoin ETF inflows and outflows. Spot ETF flow direction has become one of Bitcoin's biggest catalysts. So large inflows equals price pumps, heavy outflows equals corrections. This remains critical to watch daily, which in the future we can sit down and analyze this on the charts and see, hey, are there large inflows or not? We could be including that in the videos in the future. Obviously, not right now. And moving on to the next thing, SEC decisions and U.S. crypto regulations. Any tightening or loosening of regulation can move the market instantly. Now, all this is very uncertain right now, and there is no clear or news regarding this. The sixth and final major narrative is the BRICS currency and global de-dollarization efforts. So moves from BRICS nations towards a USD alternative settlement system increases interest in Bitcoin as a neutral digital reserve asset. So with that being said, that's obviously going to increase the price of Bitcoin, and the de-dollarization and the devaluation of the USD also, and inflation. Obviously, Bitcoin has historically shown to outperform the growth of obviously BTC versus USD. So keep that in mind too. Now, right now Bitcoin is holding. So to basically finalize it up. Right now Bitcoin is holding a critical demand zone, which is what we have boxed here. And while global macro events hang in the balance, it's still holding an uptrend, but in my opinion, it is bearish. It just depends on how high we're going to go before we fall off the table. Keep in mind, I'm starting to become a Bitcoin maxi, meaning I started buying Bitcoin. Obviously, I'm not going to be buying at the top. Like I'm not going to put most of my capital in at the top, but I do own 0.002 BTC. And my next area that I'm going to buy is obviously when the RSI is extremely oversold, or when we get a correction back down to $70,000. That's going to be on my next buy zone. And that just goes to show that, hey, I don't need to buy right now. And no matter how high it goes, if we know that we're in a bear market, it could be 6, 7, 8 months out. As long as we're patient, then we could actually hit the targets that we want. And we don't have to worry about, losing money. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't have infinite amount of capital. So for me, I have to play it like this so I could mark the bottom every single time and buy at the best opportune moments. So right now the chart says the next move will be big. The world says volatility is coming, and Bitcoin is preparing for a major decision. Now, with that being said, just remember none of this is financial advice. It is all just my opinion. Please comment below, where do you think that Bitcoin is headed? Do you think that we're going to break back down to 83,006? Or do you think that we're going to actually get that push up to 95,000 and break out? If we do break out, clear shot to 106 would be in play. That would be the next major area of resistance and the next major area of sell-off, in my opinion. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and I will catch you in the next video.